cold, but your heart's colder. I will wait for you. The glitch in your eyes pulled me under, but I will wait for you. There's nothing left for me to do than run and act myself a fool. No point in trusting anyone. Your eyes of diamonds keep me up. Never thought that it could be this rough. No point in trusting anyone.
So I use these materials for the dress. I use this black neoprene for the skirt of the dress, and this floral cotton for the top half of the dress, and white organza on this side for the sleeve. I got myself these tools just to make the process go smoothly. I needed paper to draft the pattern, tape to take down any measurements, a zip for fastening at the back of the dress, scissors to cut down fabric and thread, and a sewing thread and some pins as well. So I need a button at the back just to close up the opening I created. So I'm just quickly going to illustrate the dress. It's a simple cocktail dress with a very basic silhouette and a cold shoulder sleeve. I just think the sleeve goes really well with seasons since it's really hot. So I just put on some dots here and decided on the length of the dress I wanted. So this template is not true to my actual measurement, but I just adapted it to fit my actual body measurement properly. So for the back of the dress, I decided to create like a tiny opening on the top half, you know, just to add some jazz to it, and close up that opening on top with a button on one side and a hoop to just wrap the button around. And then for the other half of the back of the dress, I will be attaching a zip. Time for patterns. So I traced off my blouse block from my size 10 pattern, and I just extended it to the other side of the body to create that wraparound effect. And around here I would trace out a facing to match that top, and I wanted a dart in there as well, so the top is really fitted at the front. So this is where the facing is going to sit, so when it's sewn along that curved edge it is nice and smooth. And this is the back of the pattern, which is simple, and this is the sleeve, which is cut off from basic sleeve, but it's a cold shoulder sleeve, and when it folds in half it looks like this. I just belled it out so it's nice and flowy around the arms. As for the skirt, I just went for a simple A-line silhouette that has a dart around the waist and a zip around the center back. Very simple, very basic, and straight to the point. So I've quickly laid down everything flat here, and I would need to cut 2 pieces of my front, 2 pieces of my back, 2 facing, 2 sleeves, and the corresponding front and back of the skirts as well. First thing I like to do after cutting is to neaten out all the edges so I don't have to think about unraveling seams when I'm sewing. So it just makes the garment look so much neat and professional. So I did that around all of the top parts and all of the bottom parts, so I know once I start sewing I don't have to think about finishing off any seams at the end of making the garment. So it's time to sew. The first thing I'll be joining is the facing to the front panels of the top, and I'm going to sew it around this edge for the 2 sides of the front of the dress. So I'm just going to quickly sew that on my machine, and when I'm done sewing I am going to flip it around and do a top stitch on the inner part of the facing. So when you fold this over, it just stays put and doesn't flip back and forth, and it just makes the top look really neat and tidy at the end of the day. The next step is to join the dots on the front and the back of the front panels. That just really helps to create a more fitted silhouette on dresses, tops, and so on. So once that is all done, I am going to cross the two fronts to create that wraparound effect, and I'm going to join the shoulder seams first and then join the side seams. And the zip of the dress is going to sit at the center back, as well as the hole I want to create and the button on one side too. The sleeve of this dress has two pieces, one in the actual fabric and one in white organza, because I just wanted that layering effect to be done here. So the first thing I'm going to do is fold this obviously in half and then fold around the top of the sleeve before joining the side seams and then folding the hem just to neaten up everything. So let me quickly go ahead and sew this all the way around. So when you fold the actual fabric over the organza, it keeps the organza still and in place, and you know it's not going to move around even when you have this top on. So I'm quickly going to join the side seams, and after that fold the hem of the organza part of the sleeve. So this is what it looks like at this point, and because it was way too wide and I cut it too big, I created a small pleat on one side, and the sleeve is going to sit into the top around this curve here. Oh, this is getting so exciting. So this is the point where I'm at. I've joined both of the sleeves to the top half of the dress, just leaving open that cold shoulder that I want to have in this dress. And I just top stitched that part of the sleeve on the two sides of the top. So once this is all done, I would go ahead and work on the skirt. So the first thing I did was I sewed the dot on the front and the back panels, and then I'm going to quickly join the side seams, leaving the center back open because this is where the zip is going to come across the top into the second half. So I'm going to sew the top half of the dress to the bottom half of the dress all the way along this line here. Let's get sewing. So I'm going to quickly sew this all the way around, trying as much as possible to match the top half dots to the bottom half dots so it just looks symmetrical and really neat to the eyes. And once that is all sewn, it's time to fix the zip in the center back of the dress. So the way I like to fix my zip is I pin it down after joining the bottom half all the way to where I want the zip to end, because I know all I need to do is just stitch the zip on two sides and it's in place. As for the hole and the button hoop, I have created a tiny loop here with the floral cotton material, and the button is going to sit on the opposite side of the back of the dress. So after this, I'm going to go ahead and sew down my zip using a zip footer because it just makes my life so much easier. And I'm just going to stitch that down and in place. And then for the hoop, I am going to sew it down at this point, and when I get to where the zip starts, I'm just going to turn it to the side and sew like an L shape to hold down that folded part and the zip as well. I'm going to repeat the same for the other side and move on to finish off the seam of the dress. Once I'm done with the seam, I know it's time to quickly stitch down that button to hold it in place. And I'm just doing that quickly with needle and thread and a few stitches. Once the button is all stitched down, the dress is complete and it's finished. All I just need to do is steam down the seams to let it be relaxed and really beautiful on. So once that is done, the dress is finished and ready to go outside. This was a really lovely dress to make. It was a bit tricky, but it came out alright, I think. If you guys would like to recreate it, comment down below. If you'd like to see me make anything else, please let me know as well, and I will be happy to oblige you. Until my next one, bye!
Dance with me, girl, seems so far away. Across this universe, she lives another day.